No one raises their hand in 4th grade and said, look, when I grow up, I want to be an addict or an alcoholic. They don't do that. They don't aspire for that. It's a brain disease first.
Brain Restoration Plus NAD supplies the brain with vital nutrients it needs to restore itself to clarity without substituting a different addictive substance.
Yeah, NAD is a foundational molecule that has multiple functions.
It's our protocols that we developed over 16 years of working with people.
It's important in maintaining cell health, maintaining cell energy, helping with DNA repair, so forth. So it's a one molecule that has multiple functions.
It will detox a person safely with minimal withdrawal symptoms. It will also block the craving, and that's where there's a diversion and there's a lot of skepticism because it blocks the craving. And that usually happens very early on. That could happen in day 2 or 3 of the treatment, actually. It does what we call the brain restoration piece. And that's when the prefrontal lobe turns back on. Memory, concentration, ability to problem solve, impulse control, depression decreases, anxiety decreases, someone sleeps better. There are all of these other, confidence comes back.
At Springfield Wellness Center, we give addiction patients the medical treatment they need to help restore an impaired brain.
We're in the car and we were making the drive down the path of Springfield. There's a beautiful pond. It's a little cottage house, not medicinal, feel of a hospital setting. So when I went in the first day, they hooked me up with the IV, sat down, and my journey of a miracle began.
Can you imagine going from using huge amounts of opiates to no withdrawal symptoms at all? They can't believe it, and they start feeling better, and they start feeling hope, and then the NAD clears their brain, and then we have somebody with experience that they can trust, and that they say, wow, he made it. Maybe there is a chance for me.
Words will never be able to adequately describe the feeling of going from that negative feedback loop of addiction consuming your life to having the ability to play the tape forward in your mind, to see the consequences, to say no.
Today we're having a murder mystery trail ride. It's the 3rd one we've done, and then we're combining some wellness activities, all trying to raise money for NAD research. I've been working with this molecule called NAD for 20 years, trying to understand how it works, how it helps, and what it does, and we keep finding lots of very interesting things about it.
We started 22 years ago. It's been tough at times, because it sounds like we're selling snake oil and there are a lot of naysayers out there, but now we've got enough science behind us. We have enough evidence that substantiates what we had been saying in the early days.
We have a little motto in our business, which is, in God we trust, all others bring data. So we were very skeptical at first about whether NAD was a real thing or not. I will say that one of the things that we did was to come and interview patients of Dr. Medier's and Paula's, and to look at the way that their treatment protocols were evolving and helping people. And one of the important parts is that sometimes you see things that you can't unsee. So the fact that we were able to talk to his patients and see real progress in some of their symptoms and the way that they felt, their ability to get off of drugs, the ability to help improve their Parkinson's and so forth, has really been profound, and it led us to basically make a commitment now to support NAD research on the data side. We think there's some real serious science going on here.
I think NAD will be the molecule for the 21st century because it allows our own body to do what it can do by itself. We don't need artificial drugs as much as we think we do. There's certainly a role for them, but molecules like NAD are a representation of how strong the body can help itself if it's given a little enhancement. So things like what happened here today is a representation of, I think, a groundswell of new things to come.
Met the Mediers where I came through Springfield Wellness, was getting treatment for PTSD. I'm a combat veteran. So after I went through treatment, I hung around, and one day they needed some help in the office. They were still really small, and they needed some help in the office, and I started working, and I've been there ever since.
I mean, we interviewed Patrick when we first came here, really, I think 2 years ago. And it's very inspirational as somebody that served their country and had some horrible damage from the war and became addicted as a result of his injuries and so forth, and has now made a complete recovery. I mean, that's pretty profound.
So Patrick, by the grace of God, was able to find Dr. Medier in his clinic and then really, get biochemically off of all the other medications, and then work with Paula to be able to dig into those underlying issues. That's where the healing began. And we are just so grateful to be around someone like Patrick and what he's done and been just a testament to what could potentially be possible for hundreds of thousands of other military officers.
The NAD changed my life dramatically, and it's made it to where now I'm lucky that I can go out and tell people what NAD can do and what it has done for thousands of people.
In research, when you answer one question, you raise 3 more. So it's going to just keep expanding. There's still the last interesting piece of information I got from one of my providers that I trained. He told me about a 1-year-old boy who was having seizures from febrile illness, and they reversed that with the IV NAD. That's never been done before. So that now needs to be researched. We keep finding things that need to be researched.
Nothing is better than, as a teacher, there's nothing better than experience, and there's nothing better than a testimony that is true and factual of the people that we have been treating over this period of time. And we love them. We're connected, we're souls connected forever, I think.
There's a natural chemical we need to function. But as we get older, the levels go down. So lately, people are using supplements to think and feel better. But as medical reporter Meg Ferris looked into this story, she found people across the U.S. have been coming to Southeast Louisiana for years to get one supplement in particular to treat everything from addiction to Alzheimer's.
People of all ages are turning to a natural supplement for anti-aging and youthful energy, to get off of alcohol or drugs, to help pain, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's, for better athletic performance, and even for an edge in school. That supplement is NAD. It's a natural coenzyme in your body, essential for hundreds of critical cell functions, their growth, survival, metabolism, and genetic repair. But natural levels go down with age.
Inflammation plays a huge role in heart disease. There are a lot of people with hypertension that come in and get NAD to help lower their blood pressure. Patients will come in and they won't know what NAD is.
Bariatric surgeon Dr. Tom Lavin opened Support IV bars. Under medical supervision, people come in for NAD IVs or quick injections to feel, sleep, and even think better.
But we even have people in their 20s and 30s. We have people come in before exams and get it because cognitively you're so much clearer. It's shocking the change that you feel.
At 75, Rodney LeBlanc has a busy CPA career working with big companies nationwide. Weight loss surgery helped him lose 115 pounds, but NAD is taking his energy level from sluggish to warp speed.
I'm at that gym at 5:30, 4 days a week, and I'm not working out with people my age. I'm working out with people 20 years younger than me. My wife's much younger than me. You know, she some days can't keep up with me.
The way people describe the NAD energy is not like you're hungover from the night before, so you drank a bunch of coffee and you have a jittery energy. They describe it as you feel like you've eaten a clean diet your whole life, you got 8 hours of restful sleep, you meditate to get rid of stress, and you exercise every day. They say it's a natural energy that comes from within.
So the energy, the cognitive ability, the clarity, the sleep.
Kelly Rudolph gets infused to keep up with her busy career managing physicians and a busy personal life, including twins who recently got married within weeks of each other. Fitness expert Mackie Shilstone has seen NAD help athletes.
After 3 treatments, the guy got up off the canvas, literally won the state title.
At Maxwell Nutrition, the Shilstones have a reduced form in a capsule.
NADH directly was studied by NASA in regards for jet lag, and they did a study from East Coast to West Coast flight travel, and the people that took NADH didn't have as much jet lag as the people that didn't.
Owners of the Springfield Wellness Center in Livingston Parish say they were the first in the U.S. to use NAD to treat addiction.
My daughter at 16 went from having a little ponytail to wearing a dog collar.
Psychotherapist and author Paula Medier and her medical doctor husband saw NAD successfully treat their daughter for drug use 22 years ago out of the country. So in 2001, they opened their own treatment center. There's therapy, yoga, hyperbaric oxygen, infrared sauna, but NAD is most prominent with IVs, injections, skin patches, a nasal spray, sublingual tablets, or cream.
They then don't have any craving at the end of it. Some people don't have craving after day 2. It's amazing.
I drink a lot of beer, and I was drinking like a case a day, like 15, 18, 24 more, and then I actually ended up having like panic attacks from withdrawals.
This hockey player comes here from Michigan.
It gives you a fighting chance. Like, I've never felt like I've been able to stop drinking until I came here. I used to have really nasty night terrors, and actually once I came here the first time, I really don't have nightmares anymore.
My lack of sleep, the nightmares, and then mood swings were happening.
Former Marine Sergeant Patrick Uloth served in Iraq. Explosions caused PTSD, brain injury, and hypervigilance to perceived enemy threats. NAD at Springfield helped him get clean 14 years ago.
After my second day, I didn't crave anything.
You didn't crave the heroin?
Never craved it again.
Now he's married with a family.
It's going on 3.5 years since I've had my booster, and I don't have any of the depression. I'm on no medications.
People with pain, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's also come to Springfield. Bill Lancaster has Alzheimer's now for 17 years. His mental decline is not as fast as his mother's was.
Once a month I go and see her, and I have not gotten worse, so I'm happy.
His doctor's shocked that he's still doing as well as he's doing.
Are there peer-reviewed, double-blind, published science on this?
So there are a lot of case reports that actually we published here at the clinic on basically patient experiences. Clearly over 20 years we've demonstrated a very strong safety profile.
You're not saying it's a cure for addiction,
No,
Parkinson's, Alzheimer's,
no,
PTSD?
No, it's not a cure. For some people they would call it a cure because they've never had another craving.
So this is the NAD itself.
Doctors at Springfield are working with independent researchers on studies. They agree large-scale studies are needed, but there's no big pharma funding because it's a natural substance. We asked LSU Health's Dr. Ben Springate to look through published science. There are cellular studies and animal studies showing supplements significantly improve several metabolic functions.
This isn't going to turn you into a 30-year-old. It is going to be a catalyst to help you be the best you can be at your age.
But for now, studies with people are scarce. But what is growing in abundance are people using NAD as a pathway to health. Meg Farris, Eyewitness News.
America is in the grip of an opiate epidemic. This epidemic affects 44% of American families. In 2015 alone, more than 54,000 people died from opiate overdoses, and this number is on the rise. But there is an exciting new protocol available, a way to reduce or even eliminate the misery of detoxing. It's called Brain Restoration plus NAD, the brain restoration solution that is setting the new standard of care for opiate addiction. Brain Restoration plus NAD supplies the brain with vital nutrients it needs to restore itself to clarity without substituting a different addictive substance. It has been proven for many to break the rehab-relapse cycle. At Springfield Wellness Center, we give addiction patients the medical treatment they need to help restore an impaired brain. We treat addiction as a disease, not a character defect. At Springfield Wellness Center, we understand addiction. This video explains how our brain restoration plus NAD treatment protocol can help.
Yeah, NAD is a foundational molecule. It's important in maintaining cell health, maintaining cell energy, helping with DNA repair, so forth. It's one molecule that has multiple functions. In a general practice, using it to help detox patients off of alcohol and opiates and stimulants, helping to augment some of the strategies used for depression.
I found out about, I think it was in about 2013, and I'd had some people contact me by phone, and just because they'd read some of the papers that we'd written around the NAD and its relationship to oxidative stress and degeneration, and they'd been using NAD for some time. So we corresponded over the phone, and then I got to know how they were using it in the clinical context, particularly in addiction medicine. And yeah, very fascinating work, very fascinating.
It's our protocols that we developed over 16 years of working with people. What that will do is three things. It will detox a person safely with minimal withdrawal symptoms. It will also block the craving. And the third thing it does, which a medical detox does not do, is that it does what we call the brain restoration piece. And that's when the prefrontal lobe turns back on. Memory, concentration, ability to problem solve, impulse control, depression decreases, anxiety decreases, someone sleeps better. There are all of these other, confidence comes back. A person who has been in misery for a very long time finally has hope, finally is free to make choices that will help them instead of hurt them.
Can you imagine going from using huge amounts of opiates to no withdrawal symptoms at all? They can't believe it, and they start feeling better, and they start feeling hope, and then the NAD clears their brain, and then we have somebody with experience that they can trust, and that they say, wow, he made it, maybe there is a chance for me. And so it seems like this is where God wants me to be. And you know, we're making a difference in the world, one person at a time.
I'm on day 7, and I haven't felt like this in 12, 13 years. I was on painkillers for 12, 13 years and pretty much convinced myself I was nocturnal, and since I've been on this, I have a normal sleeping habit. I was really happy about that. I find myself singing to myself. I've never done that. Just real positive attitude since about day 3. Everything just started spinning around. When I came here and they were telling me you think better and see colors clear, and I was like, yeah, and I'll have super speed and flight and won't be bothered by kryptonite, and then I kind of kicked myself because I was wrong and they were right, and this has actually been a real turning point for me.
They may say they want to enter treatment, but they really don't even believe themselves that they can get better. They may mouth the words, they may say it hopefully, but they really don't believe they can get better. And when they start feeling that there is hope, that those first several days when they say, I'm not having withdrawal symptoms, and my brain feels clearer, and maybe I can get better.
We had a friend that had he was drinking pints of vodka a day, and he was doing amazing. His color came back, and he was saying how wonderful Springfield Wellness was. So I went in very skeptical. Okay, he's one person, but with a vitamin regimen of an IV, I didn't see much hope. But we're in the car, and we were making the drive down the path of Springfield. There's a beautiful pond. It's a little cottage house, not medicinal, feel of a hospital setting, or walked in, sat down, and met Paula. And so when I went in the first day, they hooked me up with the IV, sat down, and my journey of a miracle began. What I would love to say to Dr. Medier and Paula and to the Springfield Wellness team is thank you. Thank you for giving me my life back.
I have fought years and years and years, decades, post-traumatic stress in a little place called Vietnam. So I was always been very interested in this type of treatment. A good friend of mine asked me to have Paula and Dick on my radio show to talk about this process. When we went to the first commercial, somebody asked me, what do you think? And I very scientifically said, I think it's bullshit. Just did not believe it. Sounds too good to be true. And when I talked to one of the people on the set off the air, who was initially doing 15 bags of heroin a day and now claimed to be cured of that and alcoholism, I turned to him and I said, come on. How do you get cured from that? He said, I don't know. Just after I took a couple of these treatments, I lost all desire and urge to do it. So just curiosity-wise, decided to do a couple more shows. And then a good friend of mine who's a former professional football player, had CTE, all of the symptoms of concussion after concussion. He had a bad drinking problem, went through a bunch of detox, finally convinced him to come here, and boom, all of a sudden, he's a different person. So I'm convinced, with absolutely no scientific background, but a lot of life experience, this is the only program I've ever seen that get, number one, these kind of results, but number two, these kind of results over this short period of time. And it's something that ought to be presented to the world. This needs to get out to the whole world.
For me, this has been life-changing. I had gotten to a point where I had lost my motivation to complete my education, lost my work ethic, morals even, and this has reestablished my character. So any fears that you might have about them not being able to take care of you is a wasted emotion.
In my 50s, I have dystonia of the neck, which is a chronic neck problem, and I live with chronic pain. So I went to doctors. Nobody explained to me where this was going and where I would end up. The next thing you know, you're taking enormous amounts of Oxycontin on a daily basis, enough to kill a horse. The darkest place I've ever been is in detox from Oxycontin. No one could have brought me to understand the horror and the depth of the horror. What this place does, it's magnificent because it does a frontal attack with very natural. Everything here is natural, and it's wonderful. And it deals with it right up front, very naturally, and it gives you that contrast between the horror and freedom. Your ability to think with clarity and everything else is in this treatment. It's not in that treatment. It's not in rapid detox.
It's so magnificent. No one raises their hand in 4th grade and said, look, when I grow up, I want to be an addict or an alcoholic. They don't do that. They don't aspire for that. It's a brain disease first. When I first discovered that this was as valuable as it is, I wanted people in the know to know so that we could get it out and help as many people as we could possibly help. I would like to see, and I said this 16 years ago, I would like to see this become the standard of care for addiction detox.
We're coming out with some great research to validate what we've been doing and they've been doing in this product for the last 15 or 16 years. And it is very exciting, and I'm glad to be a part of that. Looking forward to enticing other people to be part of the research that's going on. Because it's going to do so much for mankind, going to do so much for this addiction problem we have in America today, and this opioid problem that's just sweeping America. We're excited about it, and we hope to get you excited.
Help us advance the science behind brain restoration plus NAD so that millions who are suffering from opiate addiction can detox quickly, safely, and without substitute narcotics.
Springfield Wellness Center gave me my life back.
Good things are happening here, and it happened for me.
Here at Springfield Wellness, addiction, stress, depression, and anxiety are treated using traditional methods, along with our exclusive BR+, brain restoration and nutritional therapy. Our result is lifelong recovery.
With this treatment, our patients continually report an increase in mental clarity, improved focus, and the elimination of cravings.
I made the call.
Get your life back in as little as 10 days. Visit SpringfieldWellnessCenter.com now.
That's Paula Metier, the founder and director of Springfield Wellness Center, a mental health clinic which pioneered a special addiction detox program. She joins us now to teach us more about how to break the addiction cycle. Welcome to Great Day.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being here this morning.
Happy to have you.
Thank you.
So starting out, let's talk about NAD. What is that exactly?
Well, I had to practice how to say it.
Sure.
It's nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It is a coenzyme of vitamin B3, but it's not niacin. It's coenzyme 1 of B3, and it is in every cell in our body. And because it's in every cell in our body, it has a tremendous influence on our health, particularly with addiction.
So is NAD safe, or how do we classify
Absolutely,
this exactly?
perfectly safe.
Tell us about your program. Is it inpatient or outpatient?
It's an outpatient program. We are working on developing a inpatient program right now, but we are working with other inpatient programs when we send someone that needs to go there. But ours is a 10-day program. We detox people, and this is hard to believe, and particularly the people who are in the field. They have a very difficult time believing that what I say is true. But I'm telling you the truth, nothing but. We can detox people off of every possible addiction that we know of on the planet, and we can do it in 10 days. The opiate addiction can be, someone can get through their detox, their withdrawal symptoms anyway, by day 5. Alcohol can get through theirs by the end of day 1 or day 2. It's remarkable what it can do, because what it does is it restores the brain. It does 3 things. It will detox a person very safely with minimal withdrawal symptoms. It will also then block the craving, which is where the relapse rehab cycle actually is caused, but we can manage that. And then it does what we consider the brain restoration piece. And what that means is that the prefrontal lobe is working properly, and the midbrain is healed, which is where addiction is really lives. So it's pretty remarkable. We have been doing it for nearly 20 years now. Our clinic is in Springfield, Louisiana, which is 45 minutes from the airport. I just drove in. So it's really remarkable.
So
It
10
really
days
is.
seems like
It really-
it's not a long time at all.
No, it isn't a long time. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a cure. Okay, I always use the analogy either of an automobile or of an airplane. If you're a pilot and you're flying your plane and a hijacker comes in and hijacks the plane, you're not going to fly it very well. So our job is to take that hijacker out of there so that you fly the plane safely and you can land the plane where you want it to land. The reality is that as long as the midbrain is damaged, and NAD will do a number of different things, but one of the most important things that it does is that it repairs damaged DNA. And that's why we believe there's such a remarkable change for people.
And you're pioneers.
Yes. We have been giving IV NAD to humans longer than anyone else in the United States. We have nearly 20 years, this is 19 years today, of offering this treatment. So yeah, we're pioneers. That's what we're told.
Wonderful. So talk about the anti-aging process and how this can help.
Well, that's remarkable too. I joke when people come in and I tell them all these things that it can do, and I say, I'm 120, do you think it's working?
Right.
And I'm not 120, but nevertheless, there is a scientist who, his name is David Sinclair at Harvard, who did some experimentation on lab rats. And he took a 3-year-old lab rat and took his biomarkers, gave him NAD, and his biomarkers changed to 6 months. So he claims that basically what that demonstrates in human terms is you can take a 60-year-old man and give them a 40-year telomere, which is the indicator of what your health, your chronological age health is. So it is, it's helping people with anti-aging, keeping them healthy. And that's one of the things we want to try to emphasize, is that health is something that requires a commitment, so that you're eating well, you're exercising well. If you pray or meditate or whatever you do to calm your central nervous system, you need to be doing that in a disciplined way, like every day or several times a week or whatever your schedule will allow. But the NAD helps to support cellular health, and the reason it's not considered a cure is because there are certain things that will decrease the NAD level in the cell. Chronic stress, trauma, alcohol, drugs, and I'm forgetting one right now, but aging, which is what we've been talking about. Those are the things that will decrease the NAD in the cell. And as the cells is deficient in NAD, that's when we have depression, anxiety, we have Parkinson's, we have Alzheimer's, we have a whole host of things.
Right, so taking care of yourself really does help. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
What if our gears didn't slow as we aged? What if there was a way to keep our biological systems running as optimally as they did in our youth? As physicians, we know you are dedicated to helping your patients live and function optimally no matter what their age. That's why you'll want to attend the 2020 BR Plus NAD Brain Restoration Summit, which will be delivered virtually November 20th to 21st. NAD is a foundational molecule found in every cell in the human body. In addition to its observable benefits in treating addiction, depression, and PTSD, NAD has been gaining recognition for its role in combating the effects of aging and for offering powerful possibilities for the treatment of chronic diseases, autoimmune disorders, chronic fatigue, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. The BR Plus NAD Brain Restoration Summit is the only international gathering of researchers and clinicians devoted specifically to NAD practice and research. Hear from some of the leading researchers in the field today as they present new discoveries about intravenous NAD's mechanisms of action and delivery, levels testing, NAD's effects on genomics, and more. This year's summit will be delivered directly to your computer, and summit recordings will be available for future listening. Register now for